What's up, St. Louis? This episode is proudly sponsored by our friends over at St. Louis Closet Company. Jennifer Williams and the entire team over there are absolutely amazing. Ever since we first met them a couple months back to run one of the biggest giveaways we've ever done on Instagram. They just gave us some new swag. We got some amazing new hoodies for fall weather. We're going to be giving it out to our guests. But more importantly, St. Louis Closet Company is woman-owned right here in St. Louis. And if you guys are looking to get organized and get your life back on track, stop by their showroom at 2626 South Big Bend, or give them a call at 314-781-9000. Thank you, St. Louis Closet Co. Love you guys.
If you want to hear about St. Louis, tune in to the Bucket List Show weekly. Hear what Marissa and Luke say. It drops every Wednesday. Got a dope new guest every single week. Buckle up for the ride. Who's it gonna be? Who's on the show today? They rep St. Louis. What to do in the loo on a late night, or maybe what to do on a date night. Yeah, Bucket List has you covered. They know what's going on. What's going on? They'll give you, hey, 18 different things to do, or 19 if you need one more to choose. Yeah, this city is a place we call home. A place we call home, yeah.
Hey guys, welcome back to episode 93 of the STL Bucket List Show. I am your host, Marissa Farrell.
I am your other host, Luke Farrell, and we're super excited about this episode today. Super special place in our heart. But before we get into it, we got to shout out our people over at the Regional Arts Commission of St. Louis for allowing us to do this show each and every week. stlouisarts.org is a great place to really seek out local art and art experiences in St. Louis. Of course, our friends over at Four Hands, Wine and Cheese Place, St. Louis Closet Company, all of our amazing partners, but most importantly, you guys for listening to the show each and every week and allowing us to have a platform to highlight the people, places, and events that make St. Louis special.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Yeah, we're recording this on Marissa's birthday. It doesn't come out on her birthday. You should have already said happy birthday, but we are recording it on her birthday. So we have a special guest today. We are in studio with Forest Park. We brought the park to our studio, and we have Roman Fox, the Horticulture Superintendent of the most beautiful park in all of the land, Forest Park Forever.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a little biased, but I agree with that.
So before we get into all the fun stuff about the park, we want to learn a little bit about the horticulture superintendent of the park, somebody that makes that place beautiful. So tell us a little bit about your background before you started working with Forest Park, and then we can kind of get into the fun stuff.
Yeah, so I'm a St. Louis transplant. I'm not originally from here. I moved to St. Louis 7 years ago, 7 years ago now, and so. Originally from the Southeast, spent about 10 years in Central Illinois and moved over to St. Louis and to Forest Park Forever. Mm-hmm. And I serve as the superintendent of horticulture. And I get to work with the talented and dynamic team that really produces and cares for those beautiful landscapes around the park. And so, it's a really great job and the most beautiful office in the city. So
Oh, for really sure. I can only imagine. And that's got to be quite different than what you were doing previous to this, which was teaching actually. So just talk a little bit about that and what you were doing.
Yeah, so before I was doing this, I was teaching horticulture and agriculture in high school and did that for nearly 10 years. And so I was in a classroom. I mean, I was doing the hands-on teaching of the growing and producing landscapes and plants and the food that we eat, which is great. And it was, indoors, but, I had the opportunity to work with the students outside a lot and do things. But, the transition to going and being in the field and, obviously producing landscapes and caring for the landscapes in a place like Forest Park is really special.
Yeah. So your two worlds have collided essentially. Cool.
Yeah. And how long have you been with Forest Park?
I've been with Forest Park Forever since 2017.
Okay.
So, wow.
It's coming up on 7 years then.
Yeah,
7 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to read a couple park factoids about this place. First of all, guys, the people that are listening know this about Marissa and I, but we did get engaged at the Basin We go to Art Hill all the time.
It's like our
we're two
that's
of
our
the
bucket list place is Forest Park.
Yeah.
Like our date.
We go to
spot.
Mom's Deli before. We'll get a deli sandwich,
Great.
and then we'll sit in
Yep.
the park and eat it. We're 2 of the 15.5 million people that visit the park every year. So over half of those 15.5 million, which, guys, to put that in perspective, I think there's about 3 million people in the entire metro. So 15.5 million people is a ton of people in the park. Over half of those 15.5 million people come to the park for outdoor spaces like your natural areas, your playgrounds, your paths that you guys maintain, as well as the museums and cultural institutions that are in the park as well. And then one interesting part is, a lot of people might not know this, but the park is not part of the city county's museum tax district. So they depend on supporters that support this beautiful place to keep you guys going and growing.
Yeah, and that's really it's one of the things that we have to kind of lean into is that the people that are using the part of the supporters of the park, and they are generous, and they allow us to do our jobs, and that's a process that's ever going. We're dealing with things that live. We're living with things that need care and maintenance. The park itself needs that work. All 15.5 million visitors have an expectation when they come to the park that it is beautiful and healthy and vibrant, and that's our role, is to make sure that every visit, whether it's somebody biking or running at like 6:30 in the morning to the picnic at sunset in the evening, on those beautiful days, on those not so beautiful days, it's really important that every visit is special for the person that's coming. So our donors, our contributors to our organization, Forest Park Forever, are very important, and we try to make sure that those donations, those dollars, go as far as possible to making the park the space that everyone, all visitors, whether they're here for one visit to the city or they're an everyday user of the park, are getting what they expect.
Yeah.
So you guys are a nonprofit that was founded in 1986. So tell us about how the organization supports the park, the amenities, new projects. I mean, there's always something new going on, I'm sure. So
yeah, and we Forest Park Forever are just one of many entities that are in the park, and we work in partnership, really hand in hand, with the City of St. Louis Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Department. They are the owners of the park. The city owns the park. They have a team and staff of people they're working in the park with us, helping, working in hand, side by side in many cases to create the space. And so our organization is leaning into that. And one of the things that we focus on is everybody has a skill, everybody has a talent, everybody has a thing they're good at. And so we have a team of gardeners and horticulturists that are taking care of some of the formal landscapes. We have nature reserve technicians and stewards that are taking care of the ecological zones. We have arbor teams. We have teams of designers and architects and engineers that are helping put together some of these projects that we're working on. People that are communicating and making sure that the people know about what's going on in the park. Fundraisers, visitor service representatives. That's all kind of in-house, and then we that goes to our park partners and the city park that help put all this together.
So you mentioned something earlier too about just taking care of the park on the most beautiful days and the days that are not. So and when I say not, right, I'm kind of referring to winter, the slush and all of that. But like, what does the upkeep look like in terms of like just the seasonal change?
Yeah, we're getting into the winter. We're coming out of a beautiful summer and beautiful fall, and we're getting into the winter. Today was one of those days, a little bit gray and dreary, and a bad weather day in the park is still a pretty good day, if I may say. But our work and efforts change. They don't go away. They don't stop. They change. The plants and the landscapes in the park may not be in their most active growing season, but they're still alive. They still require care. So we're looking at little detailed things. This is also the time of year where, when we're real busy during the summer, there are things that we have to put off until times of the year where it's not so busy, and that's the time when we catch up with that. It's also the time when we build our team. We build our own personal and professional skills. So our work doesn't really slow down. It just changes a little bit. So on days like today, we're dealing with kind of leaf removal, making sure our paths and trails are clear and accessible. We're working on some of our team's pruning and caring for the trees and shrubs that, need some care, need a haircut this time of year. So there's things like that, and that all kind of morphs and changes. We're finishing up planting bulbs. We're planting, by the end of the year, we'll have planted 100,500 bulbs across the park for spring. And so, we're preparing for the beautiful spring that everybody expects today.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of kind of continuous work and effort.
It's
Preparation
strategic.
ahead of
time.
time.
It's strategic what you guys are doing. So one of the reasons why we wanted to talk to you guys today, specifically with it being December 6th, is the telethon that you guys do with KMOV. So tell us about that. Tell us how people that are listening right now on their car ride on the way to work can support. Where do they go to? What is that event about?
Yeah, so we're working with KMOV, and something that's been going on for years now, for a Day for Forest Park, and it's an opportunity for people to contribute to our efforts and all the efforts that are going into care and maintenance for the park. So I think you can just call in, tune into KMOV and the news all day today. That'll be there, and there'll be ways to kind of connect and make contribution to help support what we're doing.
Yeah, that's amazing. We were on it.
We were. Was that about a year after we were engaged?
Yeah, this was probably 2020 because it was during the pandemic.
It was freezing.
Yeah.
It was freezing. We were on the
And
basin.
they used the extendo mic because we didn't want to get too close to each other.
Yeah.
But we didn't know what to expect. They just reached out on Instagram and we pulled up and
But it was a lot of special stories from
and we were just one of those
people
stories
of why they love the park.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's really nice about Forest Park is everybody has a story of the park. And, you two have shared your story. Everybody has them, whether it's a family event, an individual thing. Sometimes people's story is, I just went one time and read a book, and it was the most peaceful, magical thing for me. And that's the thing that's great. I think when you talk to people in the region, you connect to people in the region, everybody has that story. And it's one of those things that, for me, a lot of teams I work with, that's the motivation behind it, is knowing that we're going to put in a lot of effort. And those beautiful days are great. The cold days are tough, but August is not a great time when it's 100 degrees outside and the work needs to get done. It's not beautiful, but that's the motivation to kind of help that people love the place, people cherish the place. There's those moments for everybody there, and it's what kind of keeps people going. So it's really nice.
What's your story with the park?
Yeah.
What do you love or your favorite thing to do?
Before I moved to St. Louis, Forest Park was the first kind of, when I visited St. Louis for the first time, it was part of that visit. And so, coming to St. Louis, coming to a metropolitan area like St. Louis, you don't know what you're expecting. You expect the city, you expect an urban environment, and then you see a place like Forest Park. And for someone like me, I connected those spaces. And so it was really great to see that. And so that was that moment. It was the first time I came to St. Louis, and I was visiting, all the institutions, the zoo, the science center, the history museum. So,
so that's what you did that day. You were just
that was it. It was like we came to the city.
Yeah.
What are the most important places to visit? Well, it was things are in the park. It wasn't just Forest Park. It was all the things that came with it. So I think that was probably my first.
And it's the things around it, and it's like you mentioned the story, and like people know about Forest Park all over the world. You guys have been recognized in magazines and publications. USA Today was that
today,
number one park
in the nation. So
which is such an honor for us. 2 years running. What an honor for us to have, because it is like in all of the work that you're talking about of how you guys even just care for the plants and the trees, like that is what you go and you look at. Like that's the first thing your eye catches and appreciates when you're there. So like the work that you're doing is just so important, and it's memorable, and that's what drives people and creates just the first part of that experience of going.
And then to get recognized is like, although the work is your work, to get recognized is very special. So how does that make you feel? Because I'm sure that was a big moment for your team and your crew to be like, oh my gosh, guys, like we did it.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to everyone that's involved. Our team is a relatively small group within a large group of people that are in the park, and the other institutions that are in the park are Forest Park Forever, the city, and all of the individuals that work with the city parks department. I think it's really nice to know that a really great team effort can come together and put together something like this, and it's also a testament to the people of St. Louis and the region, because our efforts are supported by the people,
Right.
our supporters, our donors, the people that are members. And I think that's a huge testament, because you can visit other metropolitan areas that don't have this kind of public-private partnership that we have here, and you see the difference. And it's really nice to know that there's a community of people that care about the space, because it is a space for everyone. And so it's nice to know that.
So there's ways to support. You can donate, and then what's the membership like?
So we have people that donate anything from like $50 to thousands of dollars, and many things in between. So there's donations. We also have opportunities for like people to volunteer. We have the ability to do that, to come help the organization in different ways. There's just a number of ways to kind of connect with the organization. So yes, everything from whatever monetary amount people are looking to contribute. Every little bit goes a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you guys also, I have a list here of like just other opportunities of involvement. So you guys do, like, you have educational opportunities. You guys have the Women's Committee part of it. You've got Young Friends, Leffingwell Society. So, like, how are these programs advantageous for your park?
Yeah, I think there's something for everyone to connect with our organization to help support. You can go to forestparkforever.org to kind of find a lot of information of that, and what maybe resonates with an individual. Maybe one of those committees or one of those groups or one of those opportunities is a good fit. But I think the idea is that a lot of people can do lots of small things to make a big impact, and we'd like to think that those small contributions, those big contributions, those great contributions can kind of come together to make something that we all enjoy.
Right.
So,
Exactly. So there's 1,300 acres in this park.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, it's
How
a little
big
more.
is the park?
I think I think it's 1,380. I could be wrong.
1,380.
Yeah, I think there's a little bits of things where maybe it is, and so 1,380 acres is the number that I've been.
How many
going
of those have you standed in?
Stood in?
Yeah, I've stood in. Yeah,
stood in,
standing sounds better. I'm on with it. Yeah.
Stood in. How many of those have you
A lot. I think the majority of those I have made a presence in at some point in time. Of that 1,380 acres, the team that I work with is going to take care of almost 500 of those. So, but we have golf courses, and they have crews that take care of that, and the zoo and their staff, and all the institutions. But I would say that I've covered a good many of those acres over the years. So yeah, and that's one of the things I think that is unique about the park is, number one, its location, the fact that people connect to it, but its scale is huge. And when our team is out doing things, we're doing things at a larger scale than I think most would do in our situation or in our industry. We measure our landscapes in really large increments, hundreds of thousands of square feet of landscape beds, thousands of trees. The park, we estimate, has somewhere around 47,000 trees, and each one of those need to be cared for in their own way. And so the scale of things starts to get pretty big, and that's part of what is our task, is doing that and finding the way to get it done with the time and the resources that we have. It's really important to do that.
Does some of that include like volunteers with like the green jobs, or like people who get outside volunteers getting their hands dirty, essentially?
Yeah, so we have many different types of volunteers that come and work with our team in the field. Sometimes it's like a corporate group or a business group, and they are coming for a day, and they work with us for a few hours, and they're helping us get a big task done in the park. We also have weekly volunteers that come in every week, for a couple hours on a certain day or a couple days, and they have been doing it for years, and they are a really key component of our team. Many of them have been here longer than many of our staff have been. So we have everything from I'm coming in for one time, and we're going to really make a big impact, to we're going to come all the time and with our volunteers. And so yes, it's a multiplication. We take a team out in the field, and our volunteers come in and help us scale that up.
Great.
What does it feel like to see like these big events that you guys have been having? Like some of our friends over at Shakespeare in the Park, amazing events that they do right there. And then obviously Evolution Festival last year, being able to see the work that your guys' team maintains this land that people want to then bring people into it to enjoy. I mean, that must just be a really good feeling for you guys.
Yeah, and I mean, having people come to the park is why we do it. So there are moments when we get in our own little heads of like, oh, it'd be great if I could just make this beautiful display and no one would touch it, but then no one looks at it, no one enjoys it, and then why are we here? So, when we have Shakespeare Fest, and when we have the symphony, when they come to the park, you get those nights where people come to the park in really large numbers, and you get a lot of people that get to experience the park in the way that we intended it to be. And so that's really fulfilling to see the large groups of people come to the park and use it. It sometimes makes work for us to do. We have to come in and sometimes prepare the park ahead of time so that the impact is minimum, or we have to repair things afterwards. But that's part of having, large groups of people come to a space. So that's part of it. But it is that is always outweighs the fact that we want to bring people to the park because that's what it's here for.
So when you all of the prep work that goes into these things that are about to happen, right? Yeah. Do you get to enjoy some of the what are some of your favorite events that you like going to?
I loved Evolution Festival this year. Yeah. We went and enjoyed that.
Looking forward to round 2.
Absolutely, definitely.
Yeah, new dates.
Yeah, and so I loved coming to Symphony. I love going to all of the going to the Muni and the events there. So anything to kind of come and enjoy the park is a good reason to be there.
There's so many great options. Again, we love just the picnics. We've done the hot chocolate run. We've done we do Art Hill the movie series.
Yeah. What's an underrated thing that people might not know that they can do? Because there's sometimes we always come in the park on the Hampton side. So one time I drove the other way and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a different park.
Totally.
This is a different so what's an underrated thing that might not get talked about that may be a bucket list thing for people to check off when they're in the park?
Well, I guess
or a spot, or
a
place. So don't give away the good spots.
Let's go.
Tell us that off air.
Tell us later.
I will give away a spot. I'm sorry. One of my favorite spots in the park, and again, myself as a person that likes the plants and natural part of the park, the Victorian Bridge on the northeast, kind of east side of the park, kind of near Round Lake and Steinberg skating rink and the Klein Prairie there. There's a really great old, and it's a historical feature in the park. It was there from the 1800s, and it's this old Victorian iron bridge, and it's over the waterway that kind of moves through there. Beautiful natural landscape, and on the southwest corner of the bridge is the state champion witch hazel tree, which means it's the largest witch hazel in the state of Missouri. It's people walk by it every day, don't know it, and so it's these little hidden gems. That specific space is a spot that you could drive by 30, 40 feet away from it and maybe not see it, not recognize it. And there's these beautiful little vistas where you can see the structure. So great place to go for a walk. It's a very quiet place. It's a place to get away and to be kind of in the park yourself or with the people you're with. So if you're looking for it, you can go to forestparkmap.org and there's information about it.
We walked by that when we left the balloon race. Yeah. We were walking towards the 100 building, which is on the other side of the park.
Yeah,
and
so
we walked over that bridge. It was dark though.
Yes.
So it was it was really dark over there.
Yeah.
Yes.
We were in a line of people walking back from the because we parked in the West End.
Yeah. So if you're going into from Central Fields and that space over to the Central West End in 100, you're going to cross over that bridge going in and out of the park. So it's a great spot that's maybe not on everybody's every time they visit, but it's a wonderful place to kind of see a beautiful part of the park.
We need to know, those, because you go to the new spots and be like, hey, let's do a picnic over here.
Yeah,
and I like the idea of a quiet spot.
Yeah,
everybody's going to Art Hill now.
It's great. Like the views on Art Hill, you get to see the scale of the park. It's wonderful. The architecture. Yeah, it's awesome.
But we used to watch the balloons from there. That was a good underrated spot to watch the balloons because everybody's in the hectic chaos area. You sit on there and you still get to see them all.
They come right over you.
Some of them touched down on the water there. Or
we did that on accident one day. This was probably 5 years ago.
It was years ago. And we were just happened to be there and we're like, look at all the balloons. This is the cutest thing ever.
Yeah. Every day.
Yeah, we're like, dude, it's every day. Yeah. No, because with STL Bucket List, we created a platform really to highlight the places that make St. Louis special, and that that includes people like you that maintain the places that make St. Louis special. But it's really events, people, things to do. And there's so many things to do in Forest Park forever. Is like you could basically create its own list, and people still wouldn't be able to do it in a day. Yeah. Like it's almost like that's why living near the park is such a benefit and a blessing that we take for granted. You know, I think a lot of people, like when you live in this park is a part of St. Louis, just like people in New York treat Central Park like that. You know, it's like, and I know people do, but it's like sometimes we just drive down the highway past it all day, every day, you know?
You know, and I talk about that, you know, to people. Sometimes the people I work with is that, you know, we talk about people's visits to the park, and sometimes it's a family event or a major event, you know, getting engaged. But sometimes I'm commuting to work. And I'm driving through the park to get to where I need to go. And can we not make that the most beautiful commute that somebody can make? You know, it's like what it is that people do, we need to make it the best. And the park can do that, whatever it is, you know. So, and then, you know, going back to the kind of like an event in the park and the unknown things, like there's something in the park, and the park changes. You know, there's seasons in the park that make, you know, your visit in June is going to be different than your visit in August and your visit in, you know, May, and it's not necessarily because the plants are changing. It's just the whole activity of the park is changing. Different events are happening. Different people are using it and using it different ways. So, come visit often, frequently.
It's winter, so go get your skates and go to Steinberg and. Well, we won't be doing that this year, but
not with the baby.
It's a little dangerous.
We fall too much. We're not that good.
Like I love it. I'm not bad. It's just we did
fall a couple times though.
Yeah, like last year I remember I was doing so great, and I'm like one more lap, and then I fell and like hurt my knee, and I was like,
You can still go and enjoy, and there's a fire pit, and there's
Are you guys doing the bumper things?
I don't think they're.
No,
I don't think
not this year. Okay.
I'm not sure, but
I wasn't sure.
But there's still, you know, you can still go to Steinberg and enjoy your time there, and that's an area that we're working on a kind of a project there to kind of reimagine that space. And so, you know, it's a lot of information on our website about where that's going and how that's going.
Awesome.
So, you know, but those types of spaces are always, you know, whether you're going to go ice skating or not, like there's a great time for people to spend in the winter. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Art Hill, when it's you know, sledding, you know, they usually have fires going on top of the hill, and so it's nice to have a space there. But there's wonderful, great places in the park on a beautiful snowy day.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then trees, like just this past couple weeks and last month, all those leaves and stuff. That walk around. So when we got engaged, we were doing her college pictures, and it was a surprise. But I had my parents down at the other side and all of our family down, and we had to walk down the trees all the way around the other side. It was a long walk.
Yes.
And we went down to the base and then back up to the picnic, and then everybody was surprised. But like that walk through the trees, it was like October 11th, and it was like that perfect time of the year. Yeah, perfect. It just looked amazing. I mean, it was perfect for college graduation photos, and then it was just a perfect spinoff. So we talked about, you know, green jobs, tree care is the intensive stuff that you're talking about. 47,000 trees.
Yes.
That's insane.
Yeah.
A lot of trees.
Yeah. And
how do you plan all that? Like, do you have a system where you have all these trees? Like,
so we literally have an inventory of not all 47. Of those 47,000, about 30,000 are in the forest, and they're, you know, some are this, you know, 3 foot high to, you know, 100 foot high. So some of those are not in an inventory, but we do have a tree inventory, and trees are given ID numbers, key information about them are there. And then our team uses that information to kind of help prioritize, focus on what we need. We do that for our trees. Our landscapes are identified in an inventory system, so we can prioritize and assess and make sure that we're doing that. So we really like to use data to make our decisions to help focus us, you know, on all the tasks that need to happen.
This is totally random, but just with like the climate change of this year, like how did that impact? Because like you were talking about when we got engaged October 11th, the trees were changing, and I'm like, trees changed like 3 weeks ago, right? This year. So how does that impact what you guys do?
You know, I think one of the things that people that are kind of common in our field of, you know, landscape care and kind of horticulture is we pay attention to seasons very intently. And there are certain things that do change with time. I mean, just from an official standpoint, the United States Department of Agriculture released its new plant hardiness zone map last week, and it changed our zone. That means that our winters are a little bit more milder than they were officially, you know, and so we're seeing that trend, which changes some of the things that we can do. Maybe we can plant some things that normally wouldn't live here.
Okay.
But that's also comes with the impact of our winters aren't as cold, and so we pay attention to that. We try to be on the front end of those things, forecasting things as best we can. But it also means we have to be able to change and be flexible in our plans. The plan was to do this now, but it hasn't happened yet.
Right.
The whatever needed to happen has happened. When the trees change color, when the spring bulbs start to bloom, we love for them to bloom when we want them to bloom. But it's nature. Yeah.
That's what I love about it, because then you'll just see like a post pop up on Instagram from your social team, and it'd be like, hey, they popped the bulbs, and then everybody goes. It's like, it's crazy how fast like things happen, because you just never know until they pop. And so as the superintendent of horticulture, tell us about like because I'm sure these people are listening, like this seems like an amazing job and all the stuff that you do, and you're super passionate about it. We can see that, we can feel that, people can hear that through their headphones. But like, tell us about your day-to-day job, because it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There's things that go into making this park the way it is.
Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's literally sunshine and rainbows. So I like to put that out there.
That's so cute.
But I work with, like I said, I work with a talented group of horticulturist gardeners, and they are the staff that are really out creating these spaces and take care of these spaces. And so, one of the things people ask is, what is a normal day in our job? And there is no normal day. We have a plan. The plan is we want to execute that plan as best we can. But a lot of times, by the time we leave our like little maintenance area and we get to the park, we notice something that changes our plans. We thought we were going to do this. When we get out in the park, we see something happen overnight that changes things. So we're very dynamic and flexible with our day. What we thought we were going to do may change. But our work is out in the park. We're inside a little bit, different times, different things. We have an office where we're able to do some planning and kind of execution of things. But our real office is in the park, in our landscapes, in the places we care for. We divide the park up into different maintenance areas and zones, and so each crew and team have their own spaces. They take ownership of it. It really becomes their own space in the park. And so they're focused on those spaces, very, very detailed focus on those spaces, how to make them exactly what people expect. So, my work is making sure that we're kind of moving in those directions and going where we need to go, supporting those individuals to make sure they have what they need to be successful, and then, making sure that all the pieces are coming together. But every once in a while, I'll get the opportunity to just go out with, some tools and garden and care for the plants, which is, for me, it's kind of that core thing that kind of keeps me happy. So, going and caring for a landscape, and when you're done, stepping back and seeing it in a better place than it was is really nice. And then to see someone enjoy that space, take a picture of it, to really just be in it is kind of the icing on the cake. So for people that are looking at potentially a career for this, it's that needs to be something that connects. So there will be moments where it is very hot and it's a laborious job, and you're going out and you're working. And so, but if that can motivation can keep you going, then there's really awesome opportunities to do that.
Yeah, sounds like a great place to be. So what about, and this is another off the question, but do you have the energy at your own home to garden?
Why are you saying exactly what I was just
You're about to
thinking?
say
I'm
that.
like, what's your
Well, because
home
you
garden
said like you love to do these things and get out with tools, but like when you get home, are you like, okay, I do not want to touch this?
So it depends on who you ask. I feel like there's a lot more to do. Sometimes my wife's like, "You've done too much."
That's what should we call your wife real quick?
It's one of those things that yes, I do on the weekends. I do. I will say during the week, by the time I get home, there's the list of things life you have to go through. And then like, this time of year, by the time I get home, it's dark and I'm this flashlight. So but yeah, I do enjoy. It's never where I want it to be. There's always something more.
Well, that's like everything.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's always something more, which keeps me going. So yeah, I try.
That's
cool.
awesome. I was about to ask that because I know like
That's
we're
funny.
interested in that too. We're like talking about our stuff. Like we just love anything green as well. So it's just like being able to like do that at our home and
one day.
Yeah. So I just wanted to ask, because it's the same thing with me. Like we have a marketing company too, but the last thing I do is market my own stuff because I'm like, oh, I need to update my own website, but I'm updating everybody else's website before that. And that's just how it goes. But I do have one more question. Do you have anything else?
No.
So we like to ask our guests what their STL bucket list is. We kind of talked about the park a little bit, but we just want to hear a few of your favorite spots, maybe to eat, maybe to date night spots and stuff like that. Do you have any bucket list places that you're like, oh, if somebody's coming in, because you're not from here, so you have a different perception than a lot of people that are from here. They're like, oh, I went to this spot for the last 40 years, Yeah. So is there any spots that you would say, like when people come in town or something, you're like, oh, we're going to this place? Or
Yeah, I really love again, taking people to the park. So there's a lot of things in the park. If there's something going on, I'd like to bring people into it. Going for brunch at the Boathouse is a really nice spot, especially if the weather's nice. So we'll take people there. But if we're out of the park, we'll go to Urban Chestnut in the Grove. Really great space to bring people in. It's just a large space.
Good hangout spot. You can hang there for a while and not feel like you're messing anybody's time up. And stuff.
And you're not trying to pack into a spot. Maybe I can't get into it. Maybe I couldn't. Or if you have groups of people coming in, it's really nice. So we do that. I live in South City, so from a restaurant standpoint, I think. Let me go.
We're South City people too.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Blackthorn Pizza is a place that
third time in a row somebody said that.
All right, yeah.
People are like, if you live in South City, you got to go to Blackthorn. We have not been, and we live in Southampton.
All right, so
we need to go.
As someone who's not from St. Louis, where St. Louis style pizza is a little controversial.
Yes.
That's one of the places that we enjoy going and getting pizza. So and then anything to do with public events that are in the city, in the park. It's really nice to. St. Louis has a lot to offer in that realm. So
Blackthorn Pizza. We're gonna check that off our bucket list. And we're gonna email you, and I'm gonna send you a picture.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's like the second or third time somebody said that recently, and I'm like, I knew it was there, but I just didn't know. It's like apparently really old school. It's not like a new.
It's a great place to kind of go in and get pizza and in the neighborhood. So
no, that's amazing. Well, Roman, thank you so much for taking the time. We're so excited. Telethon's going on, but there's so many cool things going in next year with the park, and I hope that the people that are listening head over to forestparkforever.org, look at what's going on. If you can help, if you can volunteer, we have a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to this show. If you want to get involved, and then if you want to, in 30 seconds, just tell people what the park means to you and what the city of St. Louis kind of means to you since you've been here too. So I know it's hard to do it in 30, 40 seconds.
Throw me on the spot there. The park is just a place for us. I think I've said it, but it's just a place for people to have special points in their day, maybe their week, their life. And so it's really a wonderful place that is available to everyone in the region, in the city. There's an opportunity for everyone there, so it's really nice to have something like that here in the area.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
So guys, make sure you support any way that you can, whether it's just going and enjoying or donating or doing, signing up for that membership. Again, like Luke said, just check out forestpark.org.
forestparkforever.org.
And just kind of get a feel for the things that are coming, the amazing work that they're doing.
And follow on social, because a lot of times stuff gets out on social pretty quickly.
Yeah, you guys do a great job keeping people
social numbers been looking good. Stuff's been going crazy.
So, all right.
Cool. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you for having us.
Today, they rep St. Louis, yeah. They rep St. Louis. They rep St. Louis.